Hey guys, it's Daniel. The following is a clip from one of my interviews with Alice in Chains engineer Jonathan Plum. If you want to see the full interview, it's linked below. So, when it came to the acoustic guitar on Nutshell, do you remember working on that?
So usually in the studio, if you're going to record acoustic guitar, you're going to put a microphone on it. Like you can plug an acoustic guitar in, they call it a DI, like a direct instrument, and there's a distinctive sound difference. So like if you plug in, like a lot of acoustic guitars will have little like pickups in it, and that's what most musicians will use live. So if you ever see someone playing live with an acoustic guitar, they almost never put a microphone on it. It's just coming off a little pickup inside the guitar, and it has a very kind of more electric sound. Where when you're in the studio, you can use a microphone and that sounds more like a natural instrument. So what I saw on when they came in for Jar of Flies, they were moving so fast, and I think Jerry had probably just written the songs on acoustic guitar. The producer just plugged his acoustic guitar straight into the board, and he just sat in the control room. He never put a microphone on the acoustic guitar. And the same thing was the bass. So Mike Inez brought like this acoustic bass that had a DI, a little pickup in it. And so I think Jerry and Layne both sat in the control room, and it was almost like, let's just get these ideas down. Here, just plug this in. Let's go. And you just hit record. And I kept thinking like, well, eventually they're going to go back and like get guitar amps or like at least mic the guitar up in the studio because they were playing in the control room. And I remember thinking like, personally, like I don't like the sound of a acoustic instrument, a DI an acoustic instrument. It just sounds just electronic and fake to me a little bit. So the whole time I was thinking, well, they're going to go back and redo all this stuff. And so that's why I just thought they're just fucking around in the control room, you know? But that's what they kept. And so when you hear like the bass on that song, it's all, none of that's going through an amp. It's an acoustic bass with a pickup in it. That's all DI. And it's kind of like, that's like the worst case scenario. Like if someone was to tell me like, you got to record a record with an acoustic guitar, except it has to be all DI. I'd be like, no way, that's going to sound awful. But that's what they did, and they made it work.
So, what do you think of the sound of the acoustics on Nutshell?
It worked. I mean, Toby made it work, and I think Sean, he's playing with dowels. You can hear he's playing. You know, he's not doing the big rock thing, so it's kind of softer. But I kind of wondered. I always wondered what it would have sounded like if they had like actually mic'd up the acoustic guitar and intentionally made it sound more sort of organically acoustic. Because that's kind of a weird sound. I mean, I don't know any record that's built around that specific acoustic direct sound. I mean, you just don't hear that very often. You hear it live, like live performances, you'll hear that kind of acoustic sound, but it's usually not by choice. So I don't think they did that by choice. I think it just happened, you know? Listening to it now, it's unique. It's got a bite to it. Like those acoustic guitars and the bass, it has this bite to it that it's not electric. You know, it's not really a rock record, but it does have this kind of like, it's a little not pretty, you know? It's sort of edgy and a little metallic sounding, which I think kind of bridges the gap between Alice in Chains sort of being acoustic and soft, but still having that really like, you know, edge to it. You know, now that I think about it, it's really unique what they did. And I don't think it was by design. I think it just happened. It was more out of just going quickly.
That's cool. So, speaking of DI, what did you think of Unplugged?
Yeah, that's interesting. That's a good example of what those instruments sound like. That's maybe one of the other settings where you would hear instruments plugged in that way is those MTV Unplugged. Because Pearl Jam did it too. All those bands, like that's the sound, and it's kind of wonky. And especially, I don't know, I think we all felt that way when we saw that. It was like, well, they sound great, but we want to hear them rock out, you know? I thought they did great.